the souls, 51% of the souls, if I was to be simple, said, no, we want to change the game. And that was an enormous spiritual choice that will be viewed historically as one of the most amazing things that was possible, because it wasn't expected to happen. And at that point, a number of things happened. But at that point, new souls began to come in. And they're not new souls, they're old souls, big souls from all over the universes came into bodies. Those are the kids today. And they have a different set of constructions, different software, if you would, very simply. They run on different structures than those of us previously to 1987 that were born operate. Their DNA is different. Their constructed patterns in their brain networks are different. They operate differently, although they have arms and legs and they look just like everybody else. But that grouping of kids have come in with a set of patterns that are different. And they all haven't turned on yet. They're about to. But they basically operate very, very differently. And it's a challenge for many of the young people because it's, again, the same thing I described at the beginning. You know, you look at yourself and you have all of these values and sense of appropriateness and inappropriateness, and then you look at the bigger people, you know, the adults and the ones that are in front of you, and they're still saying, do as I say, not as I do. And so there's a challenge, and it's very hard for many of the young people because they're trying to live their life and yet live the life that they're being told to live. And that's tough. That's a very tough place to be. But the world that the young people after 1987 bring with them, after this shift of consciousness unfolds, and in fact they're driving the shift of consciousness, even though they don't know those words yet, they're driving an enormous amount of these changes that are happening. And now you're beginning to see things like Wall Street movements and the Arab Spring in the Middle East. These are the young people who are saying, enough. Just like I got to have that same experience when Nixon went into Cambodia, and internally, in my heart, very loud yelled, enough. And from that, all these changes came about. From these kids, these young people are so important in this process, but they don't know what they're doing. And I say that very respectfully and positively, because aspects of that consciousness has not fully turned on yet. And in fact, now is one of the most challenging times for the young people because they have done what they were told to do. You know, be a nice person, go off to college, get your degree, and then the world will be wonderful. Well, you know, I listened to a young kid the other day who studied German languages and arts, and here he is out in the world, and he was asked, well, what value is that? And he basically says, other than I enjoyed it, none. I can't get a job. I have nobody recognizes my potential, and I am virtually not seen. And I'm unemployable based on the system's requirements. What a terrible thing the adults have done to the young people. Now you look at what the young people are inheriting based on the stupidity of the adults in terms of all of the games of finances and things. And on the face of it, it is absolutely outrageous. But in the reality of what's happening, the young people will inherit a world that will be phenomenal because they will inherit, in a way, kind of a mess. And yet, because of the difference of who they are, they will bring about changes that will be knock your socks off. Not only are they doing it from the physicalness, the emotional, the mentalness of being a human being, they are beginning to make decisions from their spirituality. That part they're not clear on. But there is so much help in bringing about a different world, the shift of consciousness that you're watching. Now, it's hard to define that shift of consciousness in a wonderful way right now because we are now in the transition. Effectively, the third dimension and effectively everything that is broken, which is everything that we observe, does not work. all of those systems, social systems, legal systems, judicial systems, financial systems, educational systems, mental health systems, physical health systems, can you name one that is functioning properly? And the answer is always no. That's what the young people are about to inherit, but they're going to inherit it in a way that they are going to change it into the most amazing process of compassion and well-being, but they cannot see it yet. But it's coming, and it's coming right now. We are in the transition of where the third dimension reality, and I'll talk more about that if you'd like, but what that reality is, it's broken. It doesn't work, and it's now in the process of being dismantled and dissolved. But what is coming is not fully available to see at the moment, but it will be exceptional, and it will be because the young people will have said, enough, I'm going to step in, and I'm going to make a difference.
Yeah, I can definitely resonate with that. I was born in 1988, so a lot of that is definitely relatable to me.
Yes.
So we have a question Skyped in. They're asking, what can I do now to get prepared for the shift coming next year?
Well, it's not coming next year. You are very much in it right now, and you have been in it for some period of time. To a great extent, it's as if you've been watching a day dawning. You know, it's a funny thing. If you're ever camped out in the middle of the night and been awake, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, if you're sitting quiet, all of a sudden it's as if a switch just turned. It's like something just happened. Many people have had that experience. And basically the night just went into the day. And the day is just starting to dawn. And yet you can't see anything different than just what you felt a moment ago. It's still dark. And yet then you start to see it getting lighter, but you can't make sense of that. So if you close your eyes for 30 seconds and open your eyes, it's like, oh, wow, it's lighter than it was just 30 seconds ago. But if you have your eyes open, you cannot see the change, the shift. That's been going on ever since 1987, but it's been going on now to where it's as if there's lots of light, and you're looking at the mountain, and you know that sun is going to come up, or you don't even know what a sun is, but you know something is happening, and it's getting brighter and brighter. And then all of a sudden, this little blip of light just peers right over the top, and it's brilliant. That's what we're about to experience. But the whole thing is the shift, and we've been in this shift, but we're coming to a point, whether it's December 12th and December 21st, that's a little period of time of 9 days, 2012, whether that is the moments that the shift turns into something else or not, miraculously like something spectacular, the shift is well in place, and the young people are inheriting the shift. So, but what you will start to see is there are very specific things that are happening. And when I do lectures, it's a very interesting thing because, you know, I've got 100, 200, 300 people in a lecture I'm doing, and the interesting part is the age group is generally about 40 to 65 years old. It's like, well, where are the 20 to 30s and where are the young people? But quite often there are 20 to 30s in these groups as I kind of talk. And one of the things I say is, have you noticed time is going faster? And so let me ask you that, Eric. You notice that time is going faster. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, time going faster would mean that there are more significant events happening in a shorter amount of time.
Well, even simpler than that is, have you noticed that you just don't have enough time in your day like you maybe used to have time in your day? It just seems like it just kind of the day comes and the day goes. It's like, wow, I didn't even do half the things I had in mind. So time is a very big piece of all this. Time is collapsing. Now, in my simple terms, what that means is if it used to take you 5 minutes to walk from point A to point B, that becomes very comfortable. The body knows that you are on track and you're going to take that long to get there. But as time collapses, and the time is, I'll explain this a little more if you want, but time is an application. It's not a fixed thing. It doesn't just exist one way. It exists time. There's many aspects of time. But basically, when time collapses, and now you're walking from point A to point B, you only have, let's say, 4 minutes to get to the same place that you used to take 5 minutes to get. Internally, your internal clock says, I have to hurry up. I have to go faster. And so when I ask the question, does it feel like time is going faster, virtually everybody in the room raises their hand. And then I ask a second question is, do you have more on your plate today, things to accomplish, things you need to do, than you used to have on your plate? And again, everybody in the room pretty much raises their hands. And then I ask a very odd question. And so let me ask this question to you, too. Do you have a sense that you're losing your memories? What do you think?
Losing my memories is in things that happened throughout the years, or?
Yeah, you're not remembering things maybe even as you used to remember them. Now, you're a young guy, but does it seem like you don't have relationship to your past, maybe the way you used to have relationship to your past?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now, this is a very odd answer that I'm going to give you, but this shift is moving very, very rapidly into a place. Let me just define where I think it's going in words. The words are cooperation and co-creation and kindness and gratitude and appreciation and humility and respect and well-being. Is that an okay definition of what we're moving into? Versus the third dimension, which is judgmental and reactionary and very rigid and right and wrong and good and bad. Can you hear the distinction between the 2 points, A and B?
Yes.
Okay. So now, the memory issue. One of the things that are happening, particularly to older people because they've got more memory, you are losing your memory. Now, this is actually quite a great thing, but it sounds funny. So it's not Alzheimer's, it's not dementia, it's not something's wrong with you, a person. But what is happening is, if I was to be very simple, there are 2 waves of light that are passing through you and me and the earth and everything else. One wave of light, again, being simple, this is not correct, there's a gazillion waves of light, but one wave of light, its purpose is to clear away all of the who you are not. All of the aspect of who you define yourself as. So if you say to adults particularly, and maybe even young people do this, and I've got a son your age, but what happens is if you say, well, who are you? People say, well, I'm a doctor, lawyer, dentist, plumber, whatever. And they don't say, how do you enjoy life? They say, what do you do in life? And we define ourselves by our trappings. I'm a mother, I'm a PhD, I'm an owner of a business or whatever it may be. We define ourselves by our trappings, our merit badges, if you would. But many of those things have absolutely nothing to do about who you are, how you live your life, what you would like to do, what's important, what is your truth in your heart. What happens is I'm an ex-politician and a vice mayor of San Jose.